Okay, let's go ahead and get started so we can stay on schedule here. First of all, I hope everyone can hear me. Okay, I got a thumbs up from my co-host, so that's good. And everyone can see the screen, right? 2 for 2. Good. Thank you all for coming and spending time with us tonight. We are very happy to be here with you. This is our first ever online watch party, and we look forward to hosting more of these events in the future. There are a lot of stories to be told about environmental justice and the people who are dedicated to it, and we will continue to give them a voice in platforms like this and in the other work that we do. Before we get started, I just want to go over the agenda for tonight. We'll start by sharing one of our original films from the Solar Stories of Detroit series, followed by a 10-15 minute long discussion of that film. Then we're going to move on to our main feature, The Sacrifice Zone. Once you've watched that film, we're going to have a Q&A session with a special guest, and that will wrap up the main portion of the watch party. If you have access to the after party, we'll begin that after the main event ends. Just a few quick words about watch party etiquette. We have muted your microphones already to eliminate background noises that can interfere with the ability of others to hear the conversation and films. So please stay on mute. If you have any questions, you can put them into the chat, which is in your bar at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Chat's right in the middle. You can just type a question into that. We have people monitoring the chat, but you are welcome to keep your video cameras on so we can see you. And before we start that first part, I want to thank our sponsors for the evening, Lynette Cobb from Green Streams Workforce Consulting, David Lancial, Lisa Sachi-Litzenberg from Green Career Advisor, Jane Morgan, JFM Consulting Group, Anita Sevier from the Jesuit Catholic School, William Toscano from University of Minnesota. William was the first one to buy a ticket for this event, so double thanks to him. Jumana Vasi from J. Vasi Consulting, and Gary Wozniak of Recovery Park. So thank you all. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get into the watch party. Like I said, kicking off our inaugural party is one of our original short films from the Solar Stories of Detroit series, which can be found on our YouTube channel. And this one is called Advocating for Their Right to Breathe Clean Air, Jesuit School's student-led rooftop solar project. At this time, I'd like to introduce Catherine Diggs, who will continue introducing the film. Catherine is a program manager here at Detroiters Working for Environmental Justice and is the series co-creator. Go ahead, Catherine.
Yeah, hi everyone, Kat Diggs. Just a quick background about the Solar Stories of Detroit video series. The idea really came from working with the Renewable Energy Committee of the Green Task Force, which is Detroit City Council's sustainability advisory body. And essentially, the Renewable Energy Committee is committed to growing grassroots demand for solar energy in the city of Detroit. Diane Van Buren and Diane Checkless, who co-chair the committee, were looking to build a base of case studies of solar success stories in the city. And I decided to spearhead that effort on their behalf, applied for a mini grant through the LISC AmeriCorps program, where I was formally a member between February and November of last year. I qualified for this innovation project mini grant and basically started outreach and was able to reach about 15 community leaders in the city of Detroit who granted my project partner, Alex De Vega, who's a photojournalist and videographer who was based in Detroit until very recently, who came back from Philadelphia and did field study interviews with me back in November and December. From there, we started doing video editing throughout the early winter. This video with Anita Sevier and the students who spearheaded the solar project at their school, we thought was very reflective of environmental justice solutions in the city of Detroit. So I'll be sharing my screen and featuring the video. I just definitely recommend staying muted, and if you can't hear it well, to just let me know. And also just to maybe turn the volume up on your computer if you don't hear it well. Sometimes it has to do with the volume on your respective computers. So I'll be staying very quiet because I can't mute myself. So I'll get it started right now. Thanks for supporting, everyone.
We're in our 96th year. I'm Anita Sevier, and I work here at Jesus School. And Jesus School was founded in 1925. It is a Catholic school here hooked to Jesus Parish, and it's been educating kids in the city of Detroit, since 1925. Not all of our kids are Catholic. In fact, most of our kids are not Catholic. That's not the point of the school. And it's a school to offer good education. And again, been here we're in our 96th year. And so we are in elementary school, preschool to 8th grade. My position here, I do community outreach, and I do a mix of things. I get grants for the school. It's a beautiful building, but it's 96 years old, and it's needed a lot of upgrades lately. And as far as upgrading the building, we're trying our best to do everything we can with an environmental view in mind, or see what we can do to keep the school sustainable. There's a committee at the church called the Green Team, and they've been very encouraging for us to do things. So, probably 4 years ago, the parish as a whole read an encyclical, a papal encyclical called Laudato Si, which talks about care for the earth. So after that, we had applied for some grant funds. This building's 98 years old, and although beautiful, it needed a lot of updating. If you're gonna do upgrading, we thought, what could we do to make it sustainable? Because we have a lot of impervious surfaces and our water ends up in Detroit sewers and then ends up at the water treatment plants, we needed to cut down on our water getting into those sewers. So everything that comes off the roof either ends up in the front, 2 large rain gardens on our front lawn that are finished and planted out, or into our courtyard, which is a completely concrete area, but we have now dug some planters, and so the water will end up in our planters when we get that project finished. And that includes having 5 500-gallon rain barrels to collect that water and then to water gardens out there. That in conjunction with a project where we entered a contest with the students, had a group of students, middle school students, to enter something called the My Solar Contest. It was out of Ann Arbor. And they entered the contest, and they really didn't even know what they were getting into, but why is solar important? And what they realized, and it was the crux of their discovery, was fossil fuels cause air pollution, which can cause asthma. And that's something that really rang true with these kids.
I'm actually gonna rewind that because it goes really fast.
40% of the kids in the solar club had asthma, and they were amazed by what's going on, and maybe we could help with that. So they did a great presentation on getting solar energy for Jesus School and how we could do it. And then the other thing they did after that was to go around and talk to all the kids about turning off lights and not wasting electricity and that sort of thing. So they worked on a project, and they came in 3rd place in the state of Michigan right around Earth Day. And that was in 2018, and they were just so excited because it was their project. Somebody from the Green Team, Sister Angela Hibbard, asked the science teacher here at Jesu, would she coordinate students to join the My Solar contest. And the teacher really didn't have time to do it, and I do special projects, so I worked with a group of 10 students. I gave them the rules, kind of the parameters, and of course sat with them after school, but there were 10 students, they did all the research, and they took it. They were the champions. They're all in high school now, and I'd love to see what, if they're doing, or they're gonna carry this anywhere. Because in a way, it was a perfect situation. How often do kids get to do a project, then they get the funding for it, and especially when it's $56,000. I mean, who can do that?
A group of us heard about the school's need for improvements and formed the Solar Club to explore the possibility of adding solar power. We work a lot at DWEJ to learn about ways to help our community and the world around us.
The idea of solar power came to us as a way not only to help improve our school, but our community as well. So we began research on why adding solar energy to the building would be a benefit.
One important reason is that solar energy reduces pollution.
Due to the burning of fossil fuels, harmful gases are released into the air. We discovered that air pollution is the third leading cause of asthma.
Approximately 8% of all Americans have asthma, 20% of Michiganders, 27% of Detroiters, and 4 of the 10 members of our solar club have asthma.
By adding solar power, we can hopefully reverse this trend.
If we can put a 20 kilowatt solar array on our roof, then we can prevent 24.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide from entering our atmosphere.
That's like removing 5.2 cars off the road each year, or the equivalent to planting over 630 trees.
And fossil fuels are not renewable, but solar energy is.
But it's not just good for the environment, it's also good for the school. Solar is an abundant source of energy, and once installed, the energy is free.
That means the money that we save on our electricity can be used to buy more and more supplies for our school.
UAW Ford National Projects Office. And we had been working with them more on the community outreach area of the school. The way our school is open to the community was why they were interested in helping us at all. So they helped renovate a room, a large meeting room, and then said to us, if you guys raise $250,000, we will match you. Just as a way to, because they asked me to give them a presentation we needed in this school, and I need a lot. So it was a lot. The gym, do a lot of updates. So they just agreed, okay, we'll give you this amount of money. So with the first amount of money, we just decided we were going to do updates to the things nobody sees: electricity, roofing. Of course, we did the solar, and now we're doing the drainage project. So it's taken us a while to finish this part of the project. We have 68 panels up here, and that's a 24 kilowatt array, and I'm not so good at all these solar facts, but when you calculate it out on what this can generate and what energy we use here in the school, it covers 20% of our use. But that's when we're in full force, when the school is full of children, when the computer lab is going, when everything is happening. But schools have downtimes. Also on the weekends, it covers the electricity needed for the church, which is hooked into our electrical grid. It fluctuates because year by year and sunny days and all that, but definitely our bills are going down and our usage is going down because we are generating a lot from the panels. They've been going now since June of 2018, and so I don't know all the numbers, but it's definitely made a difference to us. It's a point of pride for the kids to say we have solar panels. Some of them don't even really understand it, but it doesn't matter. It's kind of trendy, but they like that. And with our drainage project in the rain gardens, we go out and stand there and talk about why these pipes are there, what's going on. And I use the phrase, this is on the drainage project, but I use the phrase that Detroit didn't want our water to end up in the sewer. And one student was upset, why not our water? You know, just understanding these things and understanding our role in the city. So I've brought kids up here. We called this a field trip to come up here. And you have to talk kids up the ladder. You know, it's probably 4 stories up. But I bring them up here and they feel incredibly empowered and think that this is really cool. Even if they don't quite understand it all. But I think there is a source of pride to say, no, we have solar at our school. And, you know, that's a fun thing for them. The city going towards renewables, I think, is so important. This city, I just know it from our kids' health. Why do we have so many kids with asthma? I know it affects our children. And also with Detroit's rich history of industry, also means rich history with pollution and environmental problems. And that just isn't good for kids. It's part of building that park and getting them outdoors and getting them running around and being healthy. But a lot of times our kids, sometimes when they go home, they can't be outside running around. So at school, let's do it here, if nothing else. So getting away from fossil fuels, I just see it's the only way. First off, it's gonna help save people with renewable energy, save money. That's important. But number 2, if we could cut down on the amount of cars. Detroit, the Motor City, isn't so good with mass transit, and we're well aware of that. But anything we can do to help cut down on that and help, you know, not add more pollution is, you know, it's a win-win. And also just exposing the children to this makes a difference. You know, once we got the funding, which of course is a big hurdle, but once we had the funding, the company was great. We had a company, I don't think it took them more than 2-3 days to get it all installed. It has a real positive aspect. This wasn't a big inconvenience for us. We were delayed in being hooked into the grid with DTE, and I have many roles, so I was very busy and wasn't pushing DTE. Lesson learned, I would push DTE more. We got tied in about 6 months later than we should have. But it was easy. Once, you know, this company did a fabulous job, a turnkey operation, and it was done. Any house facing south in this city, I would love to see solar panels on it. My house doesn't face south. It would have had solar panels. It completely is the wrong orientation, and I just think it's great. I know a young woman at our church, and she's put solar on her house, and I just, you know, if you can have the funds to do it, I would do it in a second if I, you know, could do it. And we have all sorts of vacant areas in the city, and instead of, you know, leaving them vacant and maybe adding, you know, you head out towards Ann Arbor and there's big fields of solar arrays, and maybe we could do that in the city in places, and why not? And we have a lot of opportunity here for the why not. I'm thrilled to have been part of bringing solar at all to Jesu and to the neighborhood.
That was it. Was everyone able to see it and hear it properly? So yeah, I wanted to start a little Q&A session with Anita and the Jesu School alum, because they have now graduated from Jesu School. Thank you all so much for this amazing project. Thank you, Anita, for granting us the interview. And thanks to the alum for showing up tonight for this Q&A session. So I encourage everyone that has questions to put them in the chat, and we'll try to keep a little bit of time open to answer any questions that you might have for Anita and the students. So yeah, I would just love to hear you all introduce yourselves to begin with, since we haven't had a chance to really meet each other yet.
Hello, I'm Evan Todd. I'm currently a junior at University of Detroit Jesuit. Unlike these three, I probably have the least experience as I graduated right after the stuff that we did with the club. But yeah.
Students. Students. Hi, I'm Bethany Klug. I go to Mercy High School and I'm a freshman.
Hello, my name is Seth Kirk. I'm a freshman at U of D Jesuit.
Hi, my name is Adam Todd, and I'm also a freshman at U of D Jesuit.
And I'm Anita Sevier, I work here, and that video, although it featured me more, what they cut apart to put the kids in. If you could watch that video sometime on YouTube, they're the real stars of this program. And unfortunately, we were in the midst of COVID when Kat interviewed me, so that's why I'm the only one there. But I wish it were these students here plus the others who were involved.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. I'm so glad that we were able to make this happen and get you all's experience leading this project. Really, really unique experience in Detroit for sure. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about what your experience was being a student at Jesu School, given the really strong culture of sustainability that Jesu has, and the kind of leadership like Anita and the teachers who really try to implement that in the school, and how that had an influence on you guys.
Anybody want to take it? Go ahead, Seth.
Jesu was definitely an experience. You know, I made a lot of good friendships and all that, and it set a foundation for me because, you know, now with coronavirus and all that, usually people, you know, and especially going into freshman year, it's a hard time, and with coronavirus and all that, it's even harder. But because of going to Jesu, you know, I already had a foundation set for me, and I was ready to go against, you know, the toughest of tough, you know.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Adam.
So I've been here at Jesu for I've gone here for about 12 years, and being here has taught me a lot of valuable lessons, and it's also given me the information and everything I need to be prepared for high school. So it's really great.
Thank you.
Hey, Kat, so there's a couple questions in the chat if we want to go ahead and field those.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna actually, I'm gonna move forward with some of my questions, and then I'll leave a little bit of time open at the end, just to be able to field those questions as well. So I actually wanted to hear directly from you all what really motivated you to get this solar project started. Like Anita said, it was really spearheaded by a group of 10 of you, and it's, you know, very admirable because solar energy is pretty complex. It took me quite some time to get to the point where I could do interviews on solar energy like I have in December. So I had so much admiration for all of you for doing this, and you were so articulate in the video about the complexities of solar energy and their benefits. So I'd really love to hear what motivated you to spearhead this great and complex project.
Well, for one, the main thing was caring about the environment. You know, with solar energy, we were talking about how it affected our kids that had asthma, and how, I don't know if you know this, but with solar energy, we're also, there's statistics about like trees and how oxygen works. Any of you remember the numbers on how that works?
Go ahead, stand up, Bethany. Go ahead.
It's been like 3 years since we made this video, but we did learn a lot about the environment and how it, like, solar energy helps with the people with asthma. So.
Something that was really helpful for motivating at least me for to do this was I not only have friends that have asthma, but I also have people in my house that have asthma. So I know that getting solar energy more widely known was something good, and it would help out with everyone in the world in the environment.
Another thing was that, you know, it's something, we went into this and we didn't know much of anything. And we started meeting we took a field trip over at University of Detroit Mercy. We met with some professors, we got to see their solar setup, and we just knew it was something we wanted to do.
I'd like to add on to that. Aside from just doing the math stuff and helping out, we also had to have fun. You know, we were seeing a lot of new things. We were getting really in touch with like the environment, getting close with each other. We had time to meet after school and just chill and, try and help out the environment. We got to go on a lot of trips and just do a lot of stuff. It gave us a lot of opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, guys. I actually just shared the link to the video that we featured a little snippet of in this rendition of our interview with Anita. So you're more than welcome to check it out. It's really well made. It's about 2 minutes long, and it really kind of dives into the details of the work that the students have done for this project. So Anita was talking about how you were able to make a pitch to the funders at WA Ford. Is that the name of the funder, Anita?
It was UAW.
UAW Ford.
UAW Ford National Programs Office. They all did a presentation to the vice president of both UAW and Ford and did a fabulous job.
Right. And so on that note, could you tell us maybe 2 or 3 memorable steps that you took in order to make this project memorable leading up to your presentation to the funders?
Say how we did it. Say how you did it. You wrote it up. Go ahead. Anybody? Come on, Adam. You go for it.
So one thing that we did that was a part of this whole project was the video, and we all had our own parts in this, with not only being some of the stars of the video, but also getting the facts, information, writing out the scripts so that we knew what we were saying, and doing overall research so that we had accurate information.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Another thing we did was we went around decorating the halls with informational posters, I would say, with facts about solar energy and, its benefits and stuff it did. Also, some of the members in our group would go to classrooms and talk to the children and get them excited about solar energy and the benefits of what we were doing with our club.
Amazing. Were you guys involved at all in the installation of the solar panels? Were you able to kind of witness the process a little bit, or was that not something you were able to see?
The installation happened in the summertime and these kids weren't around. But then in the fall, a group asked them to come on a radio show. And so these three who hadn't graduated yet were on a radio show. And then somebody did a radio broadcast from up on the roof and they showed it to them. And so it kept going for a couple of years, the things, because these 3 people here, Seth, Adam, and Bethany, were in 6th grade when this started. So they had a couple of years to work on it. Evan had graduated, so he didn't. But because people started getting interested in what they did and the video got around a little bit.
Awesome, thank you. And congrats on coming 3rd at the My Solar contest. That's really impressive. And I had a couple more questions for you all. Knowing how successful this project was, obviously, there's always bumps on the road. Do you have any recollection of what some of those challenges were to make the project a reality?
So I do remember our principal at the time. Michigan isn't exactly known for sun as it is snowing right now, but she was kind of skeptical about it. She didn't really see the benefits of it at the time. So I remember that was a pretty big one. So we really had to work hard to prove that it was worth it in the long run.
Awesome, thank you for that. Something we all work for in the solar industry a lot. And so on that note, I was wondering, and I think one of these questions came up in the chat actually. How did this project help you guys maybe carry lessons of sustainability beyond Jesu School? And how have you been able to kind of take this experience and educate your peers about the value of renewable energy and reducing carbon emissions, knowing that you all did this at such a young age and that you're now in high school / university?
So we've been able to talk to our families and the facts we learned and the research we did, we were able to now share it with our friends and family and classmates and tell them all the benefits. And I know my family, we were gonna try and put some solar panels on our roof, but like Ms. Sevier, our house wasn't facing the right direction, so we weren't able to do that, but it's definitely something we were thinking about.
Thank you.
Another thing we had done was we did a little presentation for the entire school, talking about what this was about, and we got to encourage them to try and talk to their parents about solar energy, and I believe they also got their own little, their sun lamp necklaces that they could charge on their own and use.
Little solar lanterns.
Yes, solar lanterns.
Did anyone else want to share one of their experiences advocating for this beyond Jay-Z School?
In high school, I am a part of the outdoor club. It's not exactly focused on solar energy in itself, but it's about camping and also environmental justice. So, we talked about it there.
Yeah, congrats on doing that. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think this answers my questions. I'm sure I'd have a lot more. I feel like you all are going to become, or already are, environmental leaders in your own right. Yeah, I mean, I am very inclined to send you all this sign-on letter to lift the 1% solar cap in Michigan that's currently being voted on. I feel like your voices would be pretty strong on that letter. I wanted to talk to you about that, Anita, but they have such a strong experience as youth in this movement. So that's like an offline thing, but I thought I'd put that out there. There's a lot of legislative conversations happening around solar in the state right now. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else in the general group had any questions that they didn't see addressed in the ones that I've asked, or if the students had any final comments. And the group, you can feel free to unmute yourselves if you wanted to share any thoughts or questions before we move on to the next documentary.
Okay. Kat, are you wrapped up?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Thank you so much, Anita. And thank you all for coming to JZU to do this. I really, really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Okay. Can everyone see the slide and hear me? Okay, good. We're on a roll. Thank you, Catherine, Anita, Bethany, Seth, Adam, and Evan from the Jesuit Catholic School for being with us and sharing that story. All right, we're going to move on now to the main portion of the event, the Sacrifice Zone. This short film was produced by Talking Eyes Media, and we may be joined later. I was hoping we could get her now, but we may be joined later by Kat McGrath from Talking Eyes. She says she's at a school board meeting, so as soon as she's done there, she'll be joining us. And I did forget, I got all excited earlier. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Brad Ashburn. I am the communications manager and IT person for Detroiters working for environmental justice. We'll just continue on with the film. That's enough about me. So before we start the film, I just want to talk a little about what you're going to see tonight and why it was chosen to be shown by a Detroit environmental justice group. And we have a lot going on here, but there is the need for environmental justice transcends location, and the movement itself is interconnected. It started years ago in the 70s, people say in North Carolina, and it's now an international movement. So a fight that's felt in one part of the world is felt in other places, and a win like the ones that we're going to see in the movie tonight is felt around the world. Detroit does have its share of environmental injustices. The neighborhood featured in the film is reminiscent of many here in our own city, as are the people that are in the film. It wouldn't be hard to imagine this being shot, for example, in Southwest Detroit or in Delray, River Rouge, Melvindale, or other places in and around our city. And that's why we want to share this movie with you, to show that how distance may divide us, there is much more that binds us together. Now, I've been in a lot of places in the US and around the world where the lives of people are constantly impacted by their surroundings that cause them harm and make life far more difficult than it ever has to be. I've been to Newark in a former job and spent some time there, and have been to the area in this film. And it's fair to say they're not exaggerating what it's like there. To give you an idea, if you travel down a 1 mile stretch of Dormis Avenue east of downtown Newark, New Jersey, you pass a natural gas plant next to a sewage treatment facility, next to an animal fat rendering plant, next to a series of ominous looking chemical storage containers behind acres of fencing. Airplanes constantly pass overhead in one of the busiest air corridors in the world, their engines rattling windows while a putrid smell wafts from the open pools of the sewage treatment plant. This stretch is known as Chemical Corridor and is located just down the road from schools and apartment buildings. It borders the Ironbound neighborhood, where 50,000 plus Portuguese, Brazilian, Central American, and African American residents are separated from toxic substances, by little more than a railroad track. The Ironbound district of Newark, New Jersey, is one of the most toxic neighborhoods in the country. Maria Lopez Nunez, a Honduran resident there, is waging a war for environmental justice. She is part of the Ironbound Community Corporation. That's a local environmental justice group. The sacrifice zone follows Maria as she leads a group of environmental justice fighters determined to break the cycle of poor communities of color serving as the dumping grounds for our consumer society. So that's a little bit of background on what we're about to see. Is everybody ready?